The Body Shop connects you with the hottest fitness models in the world. Learn the backstage secrets that most successful bikini divas, fitness models, and bodybuilders use to dominate their competition and land on the covers of magazines. Only here at the Body Shop will we allow you to listen and talk to the best of the best in fitness competition. If you're passionate about bodybuilding and fitness, you have found your new home. All of us here at FTNS Radio would like to welcome you to the Body Shop.
Body Shop.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome your host, Andre Brick St. Clair.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for allowing the Body Shop and FTNS into your homes and into your airwaves. I am Andre Brick St. Clair, your host. My in-studio co-host is the CEO, owner, chairman of the board, all that Donald Trump good stuff of FitnessAtlantic.com. Please welcome Mr. Brian Canone.
Andre, what's happening?
What's happening, B? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Pretty good, yeah. But we're talking a little bit before the show came on the air. And,
right.
And we're talking a lot about, kind of reason we started the Body Shop. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And bring it, we say, the Backstage Secrets.
Yeah.
And a lot of people might think, well, it sounds a little gimmicky. What are these guys? Backstage Secrets.
Right.
What do these guys know about secrets?
Yeah. Now, little do they know, between you and myself, and we're not telling anybody's ages, there's almost 60 years of experience just between Brian and myself. A lot of people forget the fact that I stepped on that stage at one point. I know these secrets because a lot of the competitors still reach out to me. Seasoned vets. Hey, Bricks, listen, I want you to train me. Right. I want to get a little bit bigger. Right. What should I be doing? What should I not be doing? And when I tell them, and I keep it very, very simple, they're like, well, come on, man. I need more than that.
I need the secret.
I want the gimmick. I'm like, there is no gimmick.
I had a buddy at the gym way back, when I was into competing and stuff. He used to always, when I was in contest shape, people would always, this guy would always look and make comments. Carlo, we went to the birthday party last week. Carlo was the one. Yeah. Tell me the secret. I want to know the secret, And, he was always a lot of fun, always made me laugh, And the thing is, we're from the different bodybuilding gender, I would say, and there's the blown up out of proportion bodybuilding, and then I think there's the real deal, and some people would take offense or whatever, but what it is the phoniness of everything that's out there, and where it's all these bodybuilding magazines that would show you different things.
Oh yeah, love this crap.
People that are 280 pounds, and the way the industry is headed and what's going on. We're in a state with Connecticut is one of the most competitive for health clubs, and for big time bodybuilders, there's less than 5 in the state. Right. There's probably one that's a professional bodybuilder in the whole state of Connecticut. Mm-hmm. So the way the industry is going, what's going on, fitness competitions. We run one of the biggest fitness competitions, so there's definitely a lot to learn from the competitors, and ideas to give the competitors a voice to talk about their feelings on the industry, the sport, how to get ahead, how to get exposure, how to get lean, how to get more muscle, how to do whatever you want to do, but just to do it without all this phoniness.
See, you say phoniness because you like to be PC. See, I'm gonna step on your toes, all right? I'm gonna hurt people's feelings. I call it straight bull.
Really?
What I want to do is I want to cut through the bull of it all, all right? Don't tell me about NO2 products, because I'm going to tell you it's bull. Don't tell me about the newest protein that's, 200% increased. That's bull. Right. Okay? Don't tell me about, here's the secret to making your shoulders round. That's bull. You know what I want? Yeah. I want you to get on the line right now, and I want you to reach out to a buddy of mine, right? And I'm not going to say his name because I want to bring him on in just a few minutes. So you call, and I want the guy that created nobullbodybuilding.com. See, because I want him to tell the fans of the Body Shop, to tell the listeners on FTNS Radio, to tell his fans, to tell his new fans that, you know what, let's cut through the hype, let's cut through the bull, and let's get it popping. And that's what I want.
Mal, can you get that guy in the line?
Sure.
You got him? Beautiful sound effects. I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Body Shop the owner, the creator of nobullbodybuilding.com, Mr. Marc David.
Thank you, guys.
What's happening, man?
Hey, I enjoyed that introduction there. That was pretty sweet. It was a nice little interlude.
Yeah, well, you know, we try to do what we can.
Real. We're keeping it real.
Well, you know, that's the thing. That's what it's about. I really like the fact that you started off with the no bull because, you know, I've always said for a long time that the real secret to bodybuilding is there is no secret, right?
Exactly.
Actually, if you could say if there was a secret, if someone could invent a time machine and send me back to when I was 18 and I could talk to myself and give myself some tips that I know now, right? That would be the real secret. You know, knowledge and some kind of time machine so you could go back and make some changes. But yeah, it was a very impressive introduction. Thank you very much, guys.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure. You know what? Hey, I just try to do what I can, you know?
I like it.
Okay, now, Marc, I got to start off with this first question right here, and then we can bring it in any direction that you want to go, okay?
Yeah, shoot.
And the first question is, when did you first fall in love with fitness?
Let's see. First fall in love with fitness probably since the day I can remember having a memory, and by that I mean I was always active as a kid, just by default.
Okay.
So, you know, that's sort of pushed me into the realm of where I'm at right now. But when I really fell in love with it, and really started focusing on it, and really started doing the bodybuilding, I was telling a friend the other day, my parents would go to Tahoe. We'd all go as a family. We'd go to Tahoe, and while they're out on the beach reading or getting ready to go to the pool or something, I was mulling around the motel or the hotel or whatever, looking for, you know, ways to do incline push-ups, or if there was some kind of a plastic container that I could fill with rocks and do curls or something like that. So I didn't even know what I was doing, except for the fact I knew that I wanted to be bigger or build muscle or to look different, and I didn't have any inclination of nutrition or supplementation or proper training. That was just something in me that started driving me to change myself because I wanted to be more fit or stronger. And I would say it really hit me when I was probably the typical age, 15 and a half, 16, you know, Sears weight set in your closet, mismatched, what are those, plastic gray looking.
Oh, you talking about the ones that had the cement in them?
Yeah, exactly. The ones that had the cement, you thought you were hardcore when you
yeah, you did. Yes, you did.
You couldn't do squats or anything because, you know, it's just like
squats.
It's hot in your room. Yeah,
squats. What's that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's that?
People didn't do squats back then. They did curls.
And maybe if you're lucky, you could get an overhead shoulder press.
Yeah.
On each side. But you know, it definitely started in my teenage years. I mean, it really started before that because I was one of those, I guess you could say, in this generation, rare kids that, you know, went outside and played. So there's a lot of tree climbing and basketball on the weekends and things like that. So that sort of built up into, all of a sudden, then I was interested in the weights because I knew that I wanted to be just this. You guys can understand this. I just wanted to be bigger.
Right.
That's all I can tell you.
Right.
I looked at myself. I think this is true with a lot of bodybuilders. I'm making generalizations, so correct me if I'm wrong. But I looked at myself and I said, I want to be different. I want to be bigger. And all I had was magazines, which, you know, unfortunately, that's maybe not the best example, but that's the example I had. And not having a roadmap of how to get there, right?
Okay.
So you're frustrated, you don't know how to get there, you don't know what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to eat, how you're supposed to train, anything. You just, oh, God, I got to get there. I got to change. I got to do something. So for me, it was at a very young age, and then it really became cognizant in my teens, I think, which is probably typical still in most generations. Teenage years, you start to go one way or the other.
Right. Okay, so from your teens, falling in love with it, did you ever decide to compete, or if you did decide to compete, who and what motivated you to get there?
You know, I never had that bug to compete. I just never had it. Obviously, some people they do. You know, they want to take titles, or they want to prove something to themselves or their family, or they need a goal or something or whatever. For me, that wasn't it. I honestly think the biggest competitor for me, the most critical person in my life, is myself.
Okay.
Which can be good and bad, because the good part is I always have a goal in mind. I always have more to do. I'm never satisfied. I'm grateful for what I have, but I'm never satisfied with what I have.
Gotcha.
So I'm pushing myself because I'm my biggest critic. So I never had that bug to step on stage or do anything. What I did have later on, this is after going to college, was, okay, I have this information, and I've learned all this stuff, and I've gone through the beginner mistakes and the frustrations and having a family and going to college and going to school and all that kind of stuff, and having this information in my head, and then being frustrated with, okay, so how do I get this out there, and how do I help people understand so they don't have to, make the same mistakes that I did, and not just tell them what to do, but give them the tools and the education so that they can make their own decisions. But that's sort of, I guess you could say it's more of a role of a teacher than an instructor. I'm not, like in the Army, you don't want a bunch of people asking you questions.
Right.
I'm the instructor, I'm the drill instructor, this is how it's going to be done, shut your yap and do it.
I like that. I do like that.
And that works for the military. That totally, in fact, that's what you need. But when it comes to fitness and bodybuilding, it's different. I want to give you the tools so that you can make the decisions that fit your lifestyle. In other words, the advice that I would give someone that is in their 20s and single and not looking to get married and totally focused on getting big is going to be different than a dad with 2 kids, a mom, a full-time job. They have different goals and different needs. So I want to give them tools as opposed to just giving them, instructions or telling them what to do. So at this point in my career, I'm more into, okay, I have this information, I've learned these things, I found these resources, how can I help people out so that they have the same resources and they're not as frustrated and they can learn as well. I'd rather give them the tools and the knowledge to make their own decisions so that they can learn how to learn, in essence.
Right. Let me approach this question from a different angle. Being that you have not stepped on stage, okay, and I'm not downplaying that by any stretch of the imagination, a lot of people feel that if they're going to get advice or if they're going to get tips from somebody, they want someone who's been where they're either aspiring to go or what they're trying to do. Now, a lot of people feel as though when they have the title pro next to their name, it lends more credibility to that. Being that you did not go on that journey to step on stage, why do you think that would make you more credible than somebody that did?
I don't think it makes me any more credible than somebody that did. It just makes me different than someone that did. In other words, if I was going to step on stage myself, I would want to take advice or learn the ropes or something from someone who'd stepped on stage themselves as well. But by the essence of stepping on stage, you're obviously showing that you're more dedicated or hardcore, or you have more, different goals than the average person, say, in their 50s, who simply just wants to get fit. So, when you look at the health and fitness industry, there is no single one individual that's going to be able to fit every single person's needs.
Correct.
So I'm looking at more of the, beginners to intermediate to, sometimes even advanced individuals that may know a lot or may not know anything and just need some, portions of their information filled out better, more detailed than they had. And what I'm doing is providing those tools so in essence, okay, I haven't stepped on stage, but I know about 10 guys that do, and they're taking clients, and here's their names, and just go to them because these guys are really, really good. And so that's sort of the information that I'm providing in that essence. So does it make me any more or any less credible? I think it makes me less credible to give precise, hardcore advice on stepping on stage if I'd never done it before. Right?
You know, I have the same question, but a little bit differently, because just last night I was talking to an experienced bodybuilder, won many titles, and you know, when I ask him, like, well, you know, they always think, for some reason, a lot of these bodybuilders, that the more trophies that they win, somehow they're going to become successful in a way where, I don't know what they really think exactly, but I would think that, you know, from talking to bodybuilders, I would think that a lot of people would think, you know, you get exposure in magazines, eventually a supplement company is going to come along and pick you up and give you an endorsement contract. You know, but what's interesting is a guy like yourself can come along. My question for you would be, what made you decide, you know what, I'm going to become an expert and give people advice on how to gain more muscle?
I think the primary thing was I didn't have, at the time when I was getting into this, I didn't have role models, number one, other than magazines. So I didn't have access to the information that people do today. The second portion of that is people have access to more information than we could ever have thought possible to today, but it doesn't necessarily mean or make you any smarter. Just because you have access to a ton of information, you got to think of, okay, what am I going to do with this information?
Correct.
Right? And then, so you know it all. What if you don't do anything with it, right? It's almost like information overload. You have so much. I've talked to several people who have not quite 100, but close to 50 or 60 different, electronic format PDF style on different bodybuilding authors and experts and things like that, and yet they're still frustrated. I'm like, wait, how can you possibly be frustrated? You have the entire freaking internet. You got forums up the wazoo. You have experts and, you know, everyone coming out of the woodwork. You got bodybuilding books written by everybody. You got PDFs. You got podcasts. You got radio shows. And they don't seem to be any more necessarily knowledgeable or able to do anything with that information than someone in my situation growing up in the 80s where you have access to the magazines or nothing. And it's almost like, so what's the real difference? So for me, I wanted to give people access, go out there and figure out, okay, here's what works, here's what doesn't work. These are the experts that I've listened to. Here's the mistakes I've made. You know, I'm 38 years old, and I started this when I was 16. So I've made almost.
Hello?
Lose him? Or
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, I think we lost him.
He was about to give the secret.
Yeah, he's about to give the secret. See what happened? See what happens?
Secret.
See, we start talking about the bull. This is what goes on right here. Oh, man, you know, this guy was getting really good. Okay, now listen now. We're going to make an attempt to call Marc back, all right? Now, unfortunately, actually, in perfect timing, we do got to cut to commercial. All right? So, you know what? This was not planned by me, ladies and gentlemen. Please understand that. All right? But we're going to get Marc back on the line. We're going to cut to commercial. Y'all stay tight. I'm Bricks. That's Brian. We'll be right back.
FTNS, where fitness comes to life.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're back on the Body Shop. Now, unfortunately, Marc did get disconnected, but I believe that we got him back. So before we bring him on, okay, I would like to reintroduce my co-host, Mr. Brian Canone. Hey, Marc, you there with me?
Yes, I am.
All right. Here we go. Okay, unfortunately, you got cut off, so I missed the last part of what you were saying. Let me go into a different question for you, though.
Sure.
I want to ask it in a way that's not disrespectful. Okay. The fact that you have the no bodybuilding bull thing out.
No bull bodybuilding.
No bull bodybuilding. Yeah.
You know, we were talking a little bit off the air, just in a couple different ways that this conversation would go. That we were looking for a few answers on it, and from different angles. You know, number one was, from your experience, what made you feel that you were expert enough to go online and write a book for people to buy to listen to you, when there's these other people who have competed and won trophies and have accomplished all these things? And how did that work? Like, how did that feel at the beginning to you to be able to go ahead and do that?
Actually, sitting down and writing that, the whole process took a year. I'm still never satisfied with with where it is. I always think it can be improved and changed and updated with the times. But I just there's two things. Number one, I just let the passion come out, and I let the information just start flowing, and it was the format that whatever it is that I wanted to do, that's the type of book that I wrote.
Okay.
And I let the consumers, my customers, be the dictate of whether I'm the expert or not, whether they're happy, whether they like what I'm saying, or the type of information, or the format that it's coming out in. When I look at it, I see expertise as, there's many different degrees that you can have. You can have, formal education in it. You can have, life experience and being able to do something. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of guys that step on stage that win trophies that are, absolutely phenomenal bodybuilders that have, no science or background degrees in it. And then on the reverse, there's guys that have gone to school that have, tons of clients, tons of degrees. They don't look the part, but they sure as hell are, know the information and can disseminate that. So as far as expertise goes, I mean, on the flip side is like, what doesn't make somebody an expert? And the only way to really know is to go out there and try it. I mean, there is no, one day when you have a certain number of years and a certain number of trophies and a certain number of degrees, at some point does that make you, an expert?
Well, there's a reason. There's absolutely that's a great answer, because the reason I was asking is because we talk to hundreds and hundreds of bodybuilders who could be experts but don't feel that they are. So that's really like the why I was kind of asking you, because they always double think themselves to whether or not they have the right information to help somebody.
Nobody is, I'll put it this way, nobody's going to be right for every situation all of the time. And there, obviously there is bad information. I've come across, I loved your intro about the NO supplements. There's a lot of bad information out there, and you have to think of it on the flip side too. Apparently that's the word I love to use. Is the person that's giving you information, are they doing it, solely because they understand it and they've learned it and they want to help you learn, or are they doing it, for money? Are they giving that particular piece of advice because they stand to make profit from it? And on the other side is, whatever advice or information that they're giving you, are they alternatively giving you ideas so that you can, research on your own? Like, I can say, look, I don't think NO2 supplements or whatever do anything for you, but I've experimented with them, and here's the brands that I've tried. Additionally, I think you should look at these 5 articles that are, come from Biomed Central or PubMed or whatever, and try to read the abstract of the synopsis, and or consumerlabs.org or whatever you want, and see if this is something that really fits into your budget and if the science is behind it, versus just giving the information, sending them a link or to a website where you're going to make 10% or more off of selling them that particular product. So, I mean, ultimately it's up to the consumer to make that decision. You have to put the tools in their hand so that you feel like you haven't given them information solely to make money off them. You want to help them. I understand some people want to take different type of supplements that may or may not do anything for them, but I feel good about it when at least I've given them as much information as I can. I mean, simplistic, but as much tools as I can so they can make their own decision and I don't feel like they were pushed into it.
You know what?
As far as, you bring up a good point. What about these other bodybuilders and experts? They have all this information, they don't feel like they can do it. That's valid. I mean, this is a tough gig, jumping on radio shows and, talking, and it's difficult to do it. Part of that's public speaking, I think, as well. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have more information, have more expertise, and don't have either the drive or the passion, or they're just too timid or scared to let people know. And I think the world can use, frankly, they can use more experts. We're not at a saturation point of expertise yet.
Right.
Well, we were having that conversation, Andre and myself, just coming here to the studio today and saying, we're here, we're spending our own time making a radio show, and there's a lot of people that ask you, how's that radio thing going? How's that radio thing going? Are you guys done with that radio thing yet? And it's like, they just want you to kind of fail at it, and it's like, same thing. You put yourself out there online and say, I'm going to give you advice. All of a sudden, these people who don't do anything, that think they're more credible because they've won a bunch of trophies or something, want to bash the next guy and say, who's he going to tell you what to do? And they don't do anything themselves. So it's, and that was really what Andre said to me, when we were coming to the studio, and just like, but they don't do anything.
That's exactly what I thought. It's exactly what it is. Like I said, I come at you, guns blazing. I don't like to hold punches because I believe you're robbing somebody of vital information. You know what I mean by that, Mark? You got a lot of people out there that say, oh, you know what? Let me throw a number out there. I've won 25 shows. I have 15 Mr. blank, blank, blank titles to my name. And I go, great. What have you done with that?
Well, they're waiting for Mr. NOS to come to see you and give you some money.
Yeah,
so
give you a supplement line and all that crap.
So now you're in the ad. Andre, when they come knocking on your door and say, hey, Andre, we're going to cut you a deal at this check over here. Just stop saying bad things about NOS.
Yeah, right. Tell you what, if the check is big enough, I might tone it down. I'm never going to stop because I'm tired of the people out there. And this is something that Mark touched on. He was like, I give you information. It's a bit simplistic, but this is what works.
Right.
I remember when Brian, when you had your Stage Ready book and you put the diets in there, and a couple people wrote back and was like, this is too easy. There's got to be more to it. I get tired of people thinking that it needs to be complicated. Fitness, getting in shape, staying in shape is not hard. It's hard work to initially get started, but what you need to do is very, very simple. It's something that you've been programmed to do. The human body is programmed to eat. Plain and simple, you eat. Now all you're going to do is, instead of eating once or twice a day and gorging yourself and getting fat, then being way out of shape, then you want to take all these pills and powders. No, see, because I know Brian's going to cut me off in a minute. I said it. You're going to get fat by just eating once or twice a day, period. You're going to get fat. You're going to remain fat. Once you start, taking in 5 meals a day, 6 meals a day, you start getting your nutrients in. Now, a lot of people like to sound overly smart by saying macronutrients and micronutrients. Listen, protein and carbs. Very simple, end of story. Okay, once you start balancing that out, now you speed up your metabolism, you start to lose weight. Now, Mark, what I want to know from you, right, is what propelled you to actually start the website nobodybuilding.com?
It goes back to I have all this information. There was like a dam, and there's just an information overflow going on inside. And at that point, the whole PDFs and newsletters and websites just became so huge. It was just a great outlet to do that, to take the information that I had, and in essence, to teach people on a much bigger level than just shooting the breeze with 5 or 6 guys at the gym. And not telling people what to do per se, but going through lessons and trying to help them understand so they can avoid some of the same mistakes that I was making early on, when I was in my teen years. And that's the whole website was like, here's this place where I can finally have a voice, where I can get out there and say what I want to say what I need, what I think that I need to say, and let people be the judge of whether they want to keep listening or not listen. And I eventually started a podcast on that same website, and getting out there and just disseminating the information and letting people fire back questions or ask where they can find a piece of information. It's like that dam mentality where there's just too much information, behind, and I felt compelled like I had to share it. Like if I didn't share it and I knew something, like it was just, it was selfish and the wrong thing to do.
Right.
Not disseminate it. And just, and to go back to your analogy, it's like, well, what makes you the expert? So what? I should just sit here and be quiet? I mean, I should not say anything about anything. Like, what makes you the expert when you tell someone about a great sale that you saw at Macy's? You're telling your friend who you think has an interest in saving money on clothes.
Right.
There's a sale going on downtown. Oh, now you're the shopping expert? Well,
exactly.
No, I was trying to do someone a favor. Same thing with No Bull. I'm trying to do people a favor. If they find another expert because I mentioned someone in a newsletter or a podcast, or they hear it on a radio show, and that expert resonates more with them than me, then I still have done my job. I have helped them get to the person that their mentor that's going to help them in a better way that I can.
I totally agree with you.
That's still what I'm trying to do.
Mark, how long have you had your book out?
That's been...
I remember it ever since I turned on the internet, seeing this book.
Really?
Well, it started out with the Beginner's Guide to Bodybuilding and Fitness.
Okay.
And I changed the name. Essentially, it's the same book, but I changed the name and I updated it to No Bull Bodybuilding just because it's easier to say and it sounded a little more hardcore. And it kind of resonated with potentially beginners and intermediates. Of course, like I was saying in the beginning, you're always going to lose some segment of your audience, because when you do that, it's like, oh, No Bull Bodybuilding, so then it's not for women. And it's like, it gets really tough. Then you have to do one of these things where you have a sales page. You say, if you're a man, go here. If you're a woman, go here. It's the same book, different cover, right? It's the same information that people are giving out. So for me, it's like it's fitness information. It's health and fitness. We're all humans. We're all going along in the same path. Pretty much, we're all going to get there to doing the same things with minor adjustments along the way. For example, my workouts are going to be different than, say, someone who's pregnant. But for the most part, we're all going to get there doing the same things, right? You want to exercise, you want to eat right, you want to drink in moderation, yada, 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 and get, your physicals and get your checks and things like that. And so we're all going to get there in the same way. So for me, it was like starting a website, starting a podcast, starting a newsletter, whatever I had to do, I had to get the information out there. I just felt sort of compelled. Like, if I didn't do it, it was the wrong thing to do, and if I wasn't an expert and I was totally giving out bad information, then it wouldn't be a couple people calling me an idiot. It would be thousands of people calling me an idiot.
Right.
So then maybe I should re-examine myself and say, well, maybe I am an idiot. But the point is, it's just what I felt that I had to do, and I'm going to keep doing it.
Now, Mark, you launched this book a long time ago, right? And it's been online, and do you get a lot of positive feedback coming from a lot of people that follow your stuff now? And
I would
I'm sure
say,
you do.
to be honest with you, if I had to put statistics to it, and I'm not a stats man myself, I would say it's 99, maybe a little higher % positive.
Right.
And everybody's going to get a few pieces of hate mail, and for the most part, I can tell the person was having a pretty horrendous day. Everybody's forgiven.
Right.
But I don't get a lot of negative pieces. It's 99% positive. It's from all people from all walks of life. A lot of people from India are contacting me. They want to gain weight, they want to get bigger, they want to start working out.
Right.
There's a lot of women, there's a fair number of women, there's a lot of teenagers, things like that. They're just looking for information. I'm not getting necessarily the stage-ready people, but it's just whatever I'm saying or my style of writing or the lessons that I'm trying to give, it's going to resonate with a certain group of people, and that's perfectly fine for me because, like I said, if they stumble across me and they need medical advice or something else or chiropractic, then I have resources I can point them to that can help them out better than I can in those particular areas. And I think that's important for them, is that eventually they'll skip all the mistakes that I did and they'll have a resource network, where they can find information so that they're not really frustrated if they don't know, I don't know if I should take more vitamin E or not. They're going to know where to look and where to find that information and see if it's appropriate for them, as opposed to, scouring the internet and, finding all kinds of different answers from non-credible sources and not knowing, what they're supposed to be doing with this. So, just information.
See, Mark, there's something that you've said more than once, and I find it refreshing to hear. And I'm going to paraphrase basically what you're saying, and that is, if they come across your website or they speak with you, they follow you on Twitter at Marc David, whatever it is, if you can point them in the direction of somebody else that can help them or another expert, you felt as though you're still doing your job. The reason I find that amazing is because that's something that Brian, myself, super producer Amal, that's something that we do. We don't come on the air and profess to know it all. What we do is say, listen, we can help you, but you have to be willing to help yourself. Now, with nutrition, okay, we had a great guy on the show by the name of David Rule. He's known as the Muscle Cook. And when I'm going through your site, I noticed that you give him a lot of credit on your website as far as the metabolic cooking. You have pictures of you actually using this man's recipes, and you've listed some of the recipes. How did you initially hook up with David?
Let's see. I believe it was either. That's hard. I think it was either Facebook or he contacted me and wanted to know if I was interested in trying these out or taking a look at it. And to be honest, I'm not much of a cook myself, and so the diets that I tell people to use or whatever are just basic generic things, right? Chicken, asparagus, broccoli, and that's all good and everything. I'm not a cook myself. So there's only two things. Either I can become a cook myself and do what Dave did, or he happened to do it before me and he said, hey, do you want to take a look at this? And while there were and are a lot of bodybuilding cookbooks, none of that really clicked with me. And so for that particular series, that changed my nutrition and my family's actually, and made it a lot better and easier, and it was fun to cook. I actually, honest to God, found it fun to be in the kitchen buying ingredients and doing this kind of stuff when I dreaded cooking before. And so on that note, I'm like, okay, so there's two things here. I can either just keep this to myself, or I can just promote it and try to make money off it and just whatever. Or I can legitimately tell people about it and say, hey, if you're like me and you're frustrated and you're not sure what to cook or you don't know how to cook, this particular series is really good for bodybuilders, and it's really fun, it's really easy, it's really healthy, and I haven't seen something like this before. Yeah. And that's kind of where I was at. It was like that kind of information, access to information, that's what I want to tell people about. And they can go to Dave and you can look at him and say, wait, he's competed on stage. And your resource network starts to grow, your expertise starts to grow. And so for me, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Is I'm sort of the conduit to that information. I'm trying to tell people who find me, or they want to learn how to cook, or maybe they can't afford that cookbook, right?
Right.
And so I post a few recipes because you actually can't copyright a recipe. So it's really easy for me to say, look, the Thai basil chicken was off the hook, and here's how you make it. And then you're going to get a lot of people that say, well, I really like that, so I would love to have 350 different recipes.
Okay, but hold on, though.
And that changes it.
Hold on, Mark, because I don't want you to give away the recipe for the Thai basil, and I don't want you to give away too much, all right? What I want you to do is stay tight, sit down right there, relax, because I got to cut to commercial, but I'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to The Body Shop. We'll be right back.
FTNS, where fitness comes to life.
Andre.
What's up, B?
Man, I'm listening and you guys are talking, and I'm just like, it's still something I want to get across that frustrates me a little bit.
Okay, and what's that?
About the industry and what we're doing, and I think we're right about to kind of go into it, but then we're missing the point all the time. Missing the point. I want to go right straight to the point.
Well, I'll tell you what then. Since we got Noble, bodybuilding.com owner on the phone, then let's go into it. You know what I mean? Right. Let's cut through the bull. What you want to do?
So many people do absolutely nothing.
Yes.
And will bash other people who are trying to say something.
Yes.
Okay? They want to always look for what makes that person an expert. Mm-hmm. You know, well, we touched on that and we went into it.
Yeah.
But it still frustrates me when you get somebody that looks fantastic and has won all these different types of awards and titles, and people go up to them and say, and they're like, admire them.
Right.
And say, how'd you get that way? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what do they say?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You know, it's like, you know, you go up to these guys, you're so impressed with what they did and how they look and magazine covers, and you go up and you say, they don't know exactly what kind of question to ask, but you're like, hey, do you take protein powder? And they get a wisecrack remark set back to them.
Yeah, they get to protein. No. Why are you asking me that question? Do you think if I tell you what I take, you're going to look like me? See,
there's this problem.
See, Mark, I'm going to get back to your site in a minute, okay? But I got to go off because the one thing I hate in this world is a bully, okay? But what makes you even more so hated than a bully is a cocky bully. because I'm the first one to tell you you haven't won nothing. One, the shows that you probably entered, you've probably been handed that trophy. Or two, you have no personality anyway. The fact that somebody wants to know you, wants to get to know you, you should, at that very moment, humble yourself enough to be like, listen, if I can help somebody, like what Marc is doing.
That's what makes a champion.
Exactly. That right there is what solidifies you as a champion, not some $35 trophy that you can buy in a shop. If that's your attitude, listen, go to the trophy shop, buy yourself a trophy, put world's greatest whatever on it, sit down in the corner and shut up. I'm tired of you bodybuilders out there acting like you're so much better than everybody else. You've done nothing. Now, for those of you that are listening to this rant who thinks, well, who's this guy? I'm the guy you cannot beat. I will compete again. I'm promising you this. I'm going to step on stage, beat you, and then I'm going to retire. I'm just tired of these bodybuilders, these fitness experts acting like they're so much better than everybody else. They will not help anybody.
Well, the word professional should kind of have a tagline to it of a professional helper.
Yes.
You know, in a way where you become this expert. Now, you need to share that knowledge.
You should.
Because otherwise, you're just worthless. You've just, and that's what you're saying about you've accomplished nothing because
you've done nothing with it.
You can't become somebody who's a role model.
That's right.
And you ask that question to a lot of people. We bring on a lot of people, Marc, on the show who have accomplished tons. And Andre asks them all the time, would you consider yourself a role model? And there's always a hesitation about, and then they try to give like a nice answer about it. But the fact is, there's very few people. Pretty much the people we have as guests have been great, Yes. But there's a lot of people who have accomplished a lot, but are absolutely not role models.
No, they're not. They're not. They're like behind the scenes. They're very cocky. They expect Brian and myself to give them something or to help them with this or to, can you help me out in this area? And it's like, wait a minute, but you didn't do anything for our listeners. You didn't do anything to help the person.
They're waiting for that supplement company to come along and give them a check.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. I got the direct numbers to most of the supplement companies, and they ain't cutting nothing. Now, Marc. Hey, Marc, you still there with me?
Yes, I am, sir.
All right. I got to make sure.
We're bringing you in because you're a great example of this conversation because you're somebody who's out there doing something and you're helping a lot of people. And that means a lot more to guys like us than somebody who's accomplished a lot as far as awards and trophies and does nothing and is rude to people that come up to them.
Yeah, I can't stand that.
Well, and you can get people that are, first and foremost, you have to understand that there's, well, I think that you do, but there's multiple facets to bodybuilding, right? Mm-hmm. But it is a very narcissistic sport. So it's primarily, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I mean, it's always about me and the individual. I mean, if I wanted to be healthy, then I was pretty much born healthy. Mm-hmm. I didn't need to do what I'm doing right now. Why do I need to pack on a bunch of muscle? To do what? It's a narcissistic sport. But, I consider myself somewhat of an enigma because I'm able to, I'm a social person and I like speaking with people and I like disseminating that information or, pointing people in different directions. And that's just not for everybody. And there are people that will step on stage and win all these trophies. And even if they wanted to disseminate information, maybe they don't know how, or they don't have they just don't have the drive to do it, and that's fine too. Mm-hmm. That just leaves the door open for other areas. And stepping on stage and winning a trophy, while is the most publicized part of the word bodybuilding, anybody who tries to better themselves or to change their life or to be more healthy, beat diabetes, whatever you want to say, in essence, they're a bodybuilder.
Yes. And
they're never exposed to that side anyway, and they may not ever want to talk to those particular guys, just like the guys who are stepping on stage have no interest in helping out a middle-aged dad, and that's fine. And like I said, way back in the beginning, is that just leaves a lot of spots for, quote, experts to fill to help other people out, and, there's how many radio shows can you listen to, right wing, left wing, whatever you have. Some are going to resonate with you, others aren't going to resonate with you. That doesn't mean we should cancel the ones that you don't like.
Exactly.
You have a lot of different choices out there.
Right.
But I understand Brian's point, too, is that you step on a stage and you win this trophy, and suddenly you're better than everyone else, and why is anyone else giving advice? They haven't stepped on stage with you. And it's like, okay, so, that's still, there's no light that goes on and says, oh, well, if you won X number of trophies and X number of divisions and you're a certain age, now you're an expert. Because I consider if you're single and you've stepped on stage and won 5 trophies, and you've never been married and you have no kids, you're not an expert to me, because you're not going to understand what it's like to have a family,
right,
and to have a full-time job, and to realize that, no, dude, my family's not going to eat chicken all the time and asparagus and broccoli. I'm going to have to make some burgers, and
yes,
I'm not cooking twice.
Yes, sir.
And so that doesn't mean that person that I just mentioned isn't an expert. They're just not going to be my expert. So, there's a lot of spots to be filled by different people. And what I like to tell people is, find a role model or a mentor or whatever, or a personal trainer or a book, something that fits your goals and your lifestyle and what you want to accomplish and those things. Because if the person that you're listening to or looking up to is not in your life category, then it's going to be very hard to keep up with them, because they may offer advice or tell you to do certain things or give you examples or training programs that you're not able to do for time constraints or injuries or what have you. And so they're not really your expert. Doesn't mean they're an expert again. It just means they're not the person for you. So I kind of like to place people in, compartments where they're going to get the best help for their particular situation.
Right. See, what I don't like is, the guys that have a ton of information but refuse to help somebody else out. You understand what I'm saying by that, Mark? They won't help. Like, that's what gets me. Because I remember when I started my fitness journey, I would ask people, hey, listen, what exercises can I do to get my arms bigger? Or what can I do to get stronger? What should I be eating? And I remember some of the cocky guys out there like, yeah, go ahead, kid. You're 113 pounds. You'll never be big. Turn around. These are the same guys coming to me. Hey, Bricks, listen, can you train me now? So that's what I can't stand. Now, I like what you're doing on your nobullbodybuilding.com site. When you click on it, okay, you have a Ask 24/7 Expert forum in which they can ask you any question and you'll get back to them within the next day, right? And some of the questions are like, what are interval trainings? You have a motivational section to how to motivate somebody. You have a couple sections on here where you want to know, like, well, what are the best exercises to start out with and stuff like that. You're giving them, a supplement question, stretching questions, technical questions. You're giving more information out there on your website than what some of these so-called experts have ever done. What made you feel as though like that was so important to you to get that information out there?
Well, there's a couple of things. So for some people, when they start out in this particular industry and they're doing things online, they want to give you good or great but incomplete information. So it draws you into sort of a sales funnel.
Right.
In other words, they're going to give you just enough to get, that's good information, but it's not complete, so you're going to have to buy a DVD or a program or a book.
Right.
And
that's right. Baiting the hook.
I think it's a little bit, and that's a great sales tactic, by the way, and it totally works. But for me, it was a little different. I don't derive my primary income from health and fitness, so I pretty much can say what I want, and I don't feel bad. I don't feel obligated one way or the other, and I give away a lot of information because, as I said in the beginning, all the information is already out there that you're going to need. The problem is, what are you going to do with it? And so me hiding, best exercises for shoulders or what I think are the best, or, stretching or anything like that, it's not really going to better me to hide that. What is going to help is giving as much information as I can, and then really trying to coach people in the end and trying to show them exactly what they can do to better themselves, give them those tools. And one of the things is, because I don't make this and maybe this is unique to me, maybe it's not unique to me, but because I don't make it my primary source of income, I don't feel that I have to cross lines that I don't want to cross for my own personal principles to pay the mortgage.
Right.
Because I'll tell you, paying your bills, when bills come and your family needs food, people will compromise and they will do what they got to do to make the buck. And I don't want health and fitness, which has been a passion since I can remember, to be that. Because when it turns into a job and when you derive your income from it and you want to make more money at it, you may or may not, you probably will start doing things to increase or keep that income that you normally wouldn't have done before when it was fun and it was a hobby.
Yes.
Because now it's a business.
Yes. You remind me so much of Brian with that comment that you just said, because that's something that Brian and myself live. You know, we don't make our primary source of income from, selling books or promoting the radio shows or putting on the fitness events.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, of course not. We're not saying that.
It's probably the goal for most people, take your passion and do that. But,
I believe what he said.
I think where we're going with this, it's don't compromise.
Yeah, exactly. Do not compromise your morals. Do not compromise your beliefs in order just to earn a paycheck.
Right.
Very, very few people that can do that, though. I mean, there are some guys in this industry that derive their primary source of income from health and fitness, but they're very rare and they're very few and far between. And I would consider, I'll toss out a couple examples. Tom Venuto strikes
Great guy.
me as one, and Skip LaCour strikes me as one.
We've actually had Skip on the show. Another great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are very, very dedicated to what they do, and they have their principles. They don't compromise. But the work that they do is like, oh my God, it just blows my mind of how much not only information that they give away, but the time and the dedication that they take to do all their, newsletters and podcasts and forums and all this kind of information, and do it consistently,
right?
Like a bodybuilder would. In addition to training, it blows my mind. But those people are far, far few between. Most are in it for, the cha-ching, money,
right?
And you're going to make compromises in order to, how come you just, sell this book or sell this thing because you can make a lot of money and the guy has a great sales page. And hey, if he has and if that's all true, and I like what he has, like, for example, these metabolic and anabolic cooking books.
They're great, right?
I don't have a problem if someone comes to me and say, hey, this thing costs money, or you recommended. Hey, dude, I use them myself, and I'll defend them because I use those things in my kitchen. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's your own personal opinion, but I use those.
Right.
What I don't want to do is start promoting something because it, is a $100 upsell, and then when people start asking me the hardcore questions, the bottom of your heart, you're like, oh, dude, I didn't use that. It just made me a lot of money. Yeah. That's not where I want to go.
Right. Okay, now, Mark, how can somebody get in touch with you?
They could email me at Marc, M-A-R-C, at nobullbodybuilding.com. They could go over to www.nobullbodybuilding.com, or they can catch me on my blog at www.bodybuildingsecretslive.com. And then, of course, you have Facebook, and you have Twitter and those kind of links. But, I check all my email. I look at all the blog stuff. I look at the tweets. I look at all the Facebook stuff. I don't outsource it. It's me.
That's right.
So if you want to contact me, whatever makes you comfortable, you can do it any of those different ways.
Well, I'm going to personally recommend that everybody follow you on Twitter, and that's at Marc, M-A-R-C, David. Okay, so you make sure you follow him on Twitter. Mark, I'm going to follow you. I want you to follow me back. That's FTNS Bricks. And me and you, we're going to chop it up a little bit more behind the scenes. But real briefly before we go, is there anybody out there that you would like to thank?
I would just like to thank my parents, first of all, for instilling the values, pushing me to continue my education, go to college, and learn how to learn. And I think that's one of the things that has made this huge is being taught the right principles has allowed me to, like you say, share that information. I just don't know, what the next generation is going to do. I'm just trying to better it. That's all I can say. Do my part.
I like that. All right. Unfortunately, man, we're out of time. I got to close the show. But listen, great information out there. Ladies and gentlemen, visit the website, nobullbodybuilding.com. Follow Mark at Marc David. And always remember this in closing. Success breeds envy. The best revenge you can have against a jealous person is to become even more successful. Keep God first and everything else will fall into place. This is Bricks. I'm signing off for Brian, super producer Amal, and Marc David. We got to go. We'll see you when we see you.
FTNS, where fitness comes to life.